What's good, everybody? Hope you guys are doing good. So we're back today. I'm going to go over a few news articles to keep in mind before the market opens on Monday. So let's get started. This is from Market Watch. Here's what a falling US dollar means for the stock market. So in case you guys don't know, the US dollar, the value is plummeting. US dollar index continues its slide, which it's bad news. The US dollar is looking shaky. Bearing some sort of currency meltdown, a weaker dollar should be a positive for equities, though foreign stocks will likely benefit more. The ICE US dollar index dropped 0.36%. It's a measure of the currency against a basket of 6 major rivals, fell 1.6% in the past week, touching a 22-month low Friday below 94.40 according to FactSet. That's not good. That's bad news. That comes after hitting a more than 3-year intraday high on March 22nd, just shy of 103, a day before the S&P Stocks Index, which has dropped, hit its low during the worst of the bug. As the dollar has faded, stocks have rallied smartly, with the S&P 500 now just around 5% below its all-time high, set on February 21st, after a 34% plunge earlier this year. This is probably due to, in part, the fact that they're saying potentially we may have a vaccine very soon, and that is helping the speculation that, hey, the market's going to go back up and people are probably going to want to take it and we're going to be back to normal in no time. So that's probably what these guys are betting on. And a weaker dollar isn't necessarily good for stocks if it reflects big problems on the domestic front. And as you guys know, the US China stuff is an issue. We're going to have to keep an eye out for that. As we can see here, this past week the dollar and equities both lost ground, with the currency failing to get much of a safe haven lift from a flare-up in the US-China tension. S&P 500 fell 0.3%, while the Dow Jones declined 0.8%. Now, let's continue on here, see what else we have. A weaker dollar doesn't necessarily reflect a weak US economy, but reflects a stronger global economy on a relative basis. While that doesn't spell doom for US equities, they are likely to underperform their global counterparts over the next 6 months, he said. Well, yeah, of course, if the US economy is struggling and the global economy is doing better, then yeah, of course that's not good for people in the US. Okay, let's continue on here, see what else we can take away from this article. The case for US underperformance is also backed up by a look at the negative correlation between the dollar and non-US stock, which is stronger than the relationship between the currency and US equities. Alright, let's continue on. And looks like that's about it. Oh, here you go. Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, said that he will provide some additional color on what this might look like at his press conference, they wrote. The Fed isn't expected to take any major action. Minutes of the last meeting suggest the committee is moving toward an outcome-based approach to accommodation. Federal Reserve, okay, here we go, guys. This is the big news. Okay, if you guys are distracted, this is the time to pay attention. Currency traders and U.S. stock market investors face a busy week ahead when it comes to data and events. The Federal Reserve will announce the outcome of its next policy meeting on Wednesday. So these guys are going to meet on Wednesday. Put that on your calendar, guys. Wednesday is going to be a big day. Why? Because if some type of policy comes out that isn't favorable to stockholders, guess what? The market's going to drop. If some news comes out and it is favorable to the stockholders, guess what? It's going to go up. So up or down depending on good news, bad news. That's how this game works. Let's continue on here. Everybody's favorite doctor, Dr. Fauci. He tells Market Watch, I would not get on a plane or eat inside a restaurant. That's very interesting. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Are you guys more hesitant getting on a plane or eating inside a restaurant? I know for a fact, since this whole thing has gone on, I have not got on a plane, and I have very rarely ate inside a restaurant, maybe once or twice, but it was very slow time. That's the only condition that I'll do it. Besides that, I'm not going to be eating at restaurants. We are still in a pretty big first wave, says Dr. Fauci. That's not good news, guys. We're still in a big first wave. This is not the first public emergency Dr. Fauci has faced, but it's up there with the worst of them, he says, and it's not close to being over yet. That's not good, guys. So like I said, who knows how long this thing is going to go on for, but based off of what we're hearing here, that is not good. And in case you guys aren't aware, Dr. Fauci has been in this game for a long time. He is director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease for 3 decades, was on the front lines of AIDS in the early 1980s, and has been dealing with crises ever since. America grappled with anthrax attacks and dodged a bullet with Ebola and Zika. It did not dodge the bug. This is probably a cut above all those because this is very intense, he says. Yeah, you guys remember being in high school or college or whatever time you were when we had the whole Ebola thing? Man, I remember people were tripping out. It was crazy at that time, but it was nowhere near as bad. People didn't have to wear masks or do any of that stuff, but now this is the real deal. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen. However, President Trump and Fauci are not on the same page, which is something we have to keep an eye out. President Trump has decided to hold new round of 5 p.m. daily briefings at the White House solo, but Fauci remains a member of the White House Bug Task Force and visits the White House almost every day. That's very interesting. He is part of this task force, but he is almost never there for the briefings, which is kind of strange. But like I said, something might be going on behind the scenes that we don't know. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. He said things need to change if we are to reduce the current rate of up to 70,000 new bug infections each day, and laments the almost 146,000 lives that have been passed due to the bug in the US. Not good. Not good at all. Dr. Fauci is 79 years old. He vowed to keep working even if his message is sometimes at odds with Trump. See, there we go. These guys are not on the same page. The president has only recently embraced the policy of wearing a mask and went as far as to call it patriotic. For Fauci, it came not a moment too soon. Did he watch the daily news briefings when Trump said, "I'm getting used to the mask"? Now, one thing that's very interesting is Japan is doing very well with this whole bug situation. They had masks very early on. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily having the mask, I know that you can find information where the masks are not helpful, but I'm saying that could potentially be one reason. Maybe the masks do help to limit the spread. Now, of course, with the whole Japan situation, you got to consider, is it a correlation or causation that wearing the mask limits the spread of the bug? Just something to consider, because Japan's doing very well. Anyways, this basically sums it up. Look at this picture. He doesn't look too happy, guys. Does this look like a picture of a man who's happy? No, Trump is not happy. Dr. Fauci looks like he's kind of happy, or if he seems like he's pressured to say what he's. I don't know, but I'm just saying something is going on that these guys are not on the same page, and that's definitely a problem. When you have your leader for your health and disease stuff and your president are not on the same page, something is going on that we got to keep an eye on to see if in the future maybe something comes out, if Fauci gets replaced, if he just retires, who knows, but something is definitely going down. All right, let's continue on here, see what else we have. He's eager to point out millennials and young adults need to wear masks and practice social distancing too. He has this message for them. Here you go, guys. Pay attention. If you're a millennial like me, he has a message. You don't realize, probably innocently, that you are inadvertently propagating the outbreak. You are becoming part of the problem, because even if you get infected without any symptoms, it is likely you're going to infect someone else. That makes sense with spring break and people protesting and places opening up in limited capacity. People have more interaction with each other. A lot of people aren't wearing a mask. It makes sense why these numbers are going up with everything going down. Okay, anything else we can take away from this article? I think I'm good with this article. Let's move on. Now, let's switch gears to finance. 80% of older Americans can't afford to retire, and the bug is not helping. More than 25 million older Americans are financially insecure, living at or below the federal poverty level. That's not good, guys. So what's the point of this? I bring this up because hopefully if you're watching this video, you're young. You're probably in your 20s, maybe your 30s, And if you're older, this can apply to you too. But if you're in your 20s, that's your time to really start to diversify your streams of income and get it together financially. Don't just rely on one source of income. It can be cut off. For example, let's say you're relying solely on dividends from your stocks. Well, guess what? Dividends can be cut. Dividends can be suspended. I had a video where I showed you guys dividend aristocrats. They've been paying dividends for a long time. They got cut. They got suspended. It can happen. Let's say you have an online savings account. It can drop its rate. I have a savings account. It used to pay like 2%. Now it's like 1%. And it's probably going to drop more than that, guys. So you got to diversify your savings income, your investments that hopefully pay you, or your assets. If you have a job, if you have a business, do whatever you can in your 20s to kind of plant those seeds. So once you get older, hopefully you can just passively make income from that. And you won't be as stressed financially, and you won't be part of this statistic that it looks like, unfortunately, 80% of older Americans are in. That's insane, guys. 25 million people. That's a lot of people who are having problems trying to retire, but that's the reality. We can't really work our way around it. And one other thing too is I don't know if Social Security will be around by the time we retire. Millennials, people after us, it's not looking too good. I've been reading articles where it's probably going to run out in about 10 to 20 years unless something happens, which it could, but just something to keep in mind. Now let's switch gears to the stock market. The Dow slips Friday. NASDAQ logs back-to-back declines amid rising China-US tensions and languishing fiscal stimulus. So the whole China situation is still going on. We got to wait and see how it plays out, because I honestly have no idea what's going to happen. Next thing you know, there's going to be more sanctions, or something like TikTok might get banned, which is getting discussed, which I don't personally think it's going to happen. I think it'd be very rare to say. It wouldn't be very conventional for the US to ban an app that's very widely used. That's just my thoughts, but you guys let me know in the comments below if you think that something like TikTok could get banned. Let me know. So as we continue on here, the tech stocks, they got hit pretty hard. The Dow Jones Industrial was down, S&P down, NASDAQ Composite Index was down, NASDAQ 100 was down, and that's kind of where we've been at. Valuations for the NASDAQ Composite are 22% above its long-term price trend, but that compares with 280% above trend during the height of the dot-com bubble in 2000. Stocks ended the week with losses as specific appetite cooled for the giants of the tech world, which have carried the burden of the recent multi-month run in the broader market. So yeah, the market's obviously going up. Beijing has retaliated against the U.S. by ordering the closure of the country's consulate in Chengdu. Also, I heard in Texas, I don't know if it was an embassy or what it was, but something that was Chinese-backed was closed down in Texas. So this could be a sign of rising tensions, and who knows what's going to happen going forward. Thus far, China-U.S. tensions have been ignored in favor of a focus on the public health crisis and fiscal stimulus. Also, too, something to consider. Is it possible that if Joe Biden gets elected, he might have better relations with China, and therefore the market might respond if the polls show that Biden is going to win or is winning? A lot to consider, guys. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe Trump is able to strike a deal with China and it's better off than what Biden would do. This can go a lot of different ways, which is why I say be prepared. Have some type of savings or something that is bringing you in money every few months, weeks, days. Whatever you gotta do, just diversify. That's all I can tell you. Diversify. Talk to an expert CPA. Get an accountant. Whatever you gotta do. Now's the time to plan, because things are changing very rapidly and it's going to be a roller coaster. And as you can see, Intel has dropped quite a bit. Goldman Sachs has dropped a little bit. American Express, Tesla was down 6% on Friday, which has been absolutely destroying the market. Tesla's been out of control. If you have Tesla stock, congrats to you. Hopefully you bought it when it was a lot cheaper though. And as you can see, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, as of Friday, they were all down. Now on Monday, if this trend is going to continue, we'll have to wait and see. Now as we continue on here, Dow Jones Futures, 3 cheers for bug stock rally. bad week. Apple, Amazon, AMD lead earnings flood. So our big tech companies, they kind of got hit a little bit. Stock market rally action is bullish. Let's just go over this one section real quick and then we can move on here. In other words, the CEO of Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Google reportedly will testify before the House Judiciary Antitrust Subcommittee on Wednesday. The hearing has been pushed back for Monday. So who knows if these guys have some type of legal obligations that they're not fulfilling, that they need to fulfill. They have some type of lawsuit or something. That could definitely rock the stock if that comes to fruition. But we got to wait and see. The Dow futures, remember the overnight action of the Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. And the bug cases are still very high, as we unfortunately have seen in a previous article. Now let's continue on here. Now here's something that I'm very interested in, gold and Bitcoin. Those are two assets that I have not really dabbled too much in. Gold a little bit, Bitcoin a little bit, but I'm more focused on investing in stocks and stuff right now. However, this could be a good opportunity if you're interested in gold or Bitcoin to keep an eye on it. Maybe there might be a small dip and it could be a good time to buy. You guys let me know in the comments below. Are you guys into gold and Bitcoin? What's your strategy with it? Because like I said, I don't have too much Bitcoin or gold. I don't really like it. Because like I said, until you sell gold or silver, you don't really get the gains from it. But at least if you have a stock that pays dividends and they don't cut their dividend, at least just for holding that stock, you're getting something, which I like that better than just holding these things and getting nothing. Again, that's just me. Gold is almost closed at 1900, which broke the previous high record set in 2011. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other new cryptocurrencies also saw rallies this week. So I think I have some Ethereum. I don't remember. I bought these things a long time ago. I haven't touched them since. Ethereum. I think there's a whole bunch of them now, but yeah, I think I had some Ethereum. It sounds familiar. See, I don't remember it, so that's not a good sign. Okay, let's continue on here. All right. Gold did on Friday, however, with actively traded gold futures rising 0.4% to almost 1,900. That's new all-time high, as we had said, since 2011. As of late June, so here's the thing with Bitcoin. The price has grown 100% more than the price of gold during the first 6 months of the year, with Bitcoin seeing 32% growth and gold sitting at 16%. Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Novogratz told NBC earlier this month he believes gold is safer short-term investment even if Bitcoin may ultimately provide larger returns. Bitcoin is among one of the core holdings of mine, according to Novogratz. So that's this guy's perspective. I'm not too sure. Like I said, I'm going to keep my distance. Unemployment rate here, actual is 11%. The forecast is 12%. The previous, about 13.3%. The good news is that at least unemployment is dropping slightly. The bad news, 11% is still pretty high. But like I said, there's a lot of numbers that go into these, and depending on how they calculate, the numbers could be off or they could be accurate. Depends on what you look at. Alright, so we're almost done here. Now, if anybody is receiving that $600 per week unemployment benefit, it's going to be expiring on July 31st, which is almost less than a week. Now, my point is this. If you are relying on this or have been getting this, you need to start planning now, ASAP, because this is going to run out probably, unless they come to an agreement. I went over this article pretty quickly, but to save you guys the trouble, basically, Republicans kind of want less, the Democrats kind of want the same or more, and them coming to an agreement on what number makes sense might take some time. And at least they're back from vacation, so that's the positive news. These guys are no longer on their vacation. They're going to come back for a week and then probably go on vacation for another couple months. That's just how it goes. But anyways, keep your eye on for this. It might be done in a week or so, and you're going to have to figure something out. However, Secretary Steve Mnuchin said Thursday that extending the program, which was part of the $2 trillion economic package passed in March, is still a priority, which is good news. Whatever happens on Capitol Hill, the unemployed will continue to receive state benefits, but those vary widely and replace only 40% of wages on average. Americans are still struggling despite the extra cash. Nearly 11% of adults are in households where there was either some time or often not enough to eat in the last 7 days. That's a tough situation to be in. Luckily for me, I'm not in that situation. The people that are around me are not in that situation, but if they need help, I'll be more than glad to help them out. Hopefully you guys are not affected by it and those around you are okay. Let me know in the comments below and tell me your state. Let me know which state you're in and what's currently happening, because I'm curious to see what's going on in different states, because we're hearing a lot of things, so I don't know what's true and what's not true. Anyways, the last thing we have is this. There is a hurricane coming. A real hurricane. Hurricane Hannah makes landfall in Texas as 2 other storms threaten Hawaii and the Caribbean. So this is tough because Texas is already hit pretty hard with the bug, and they have a lot that's already shut down. Businesses are already operating in a limited capacity. So with this storm coming, that really does not help the people in Texas. That might cause them to shut down more, and who knows what type of recovery they're going to have. So luckily I'm not living in Texas. If anybody watches this and they are living in Texas, let me know in the comments below what is really going on at the ground level. Is there something that we are not seeing? Is what we're seeing accurate? What are your predictions, and how bad do you guys think the storm is going to be? Are the storms usually this time of the year pretty bad? Because I remember I went to, I think it was Houston a couple years ago, and it was right after around this time, and they told me they had floods and they're still recovering from the severe weather they had. So that's basically what I've heard. Alright guys, hopefully you have a better idea of what's going on in the upcoming weeks. China and the US are still trying to figure their issue out. Fauci and Trump are still not on the same page, and gold is going up while the dollar is going down, and people are still unemployed and trying to pay their bills. Alright guys, that's going to be the end of the video. As always, if you're not subscribed, don't subscribe. And if you like the video, don't forget to like. Until next time, peace.